You look terrible. I want you to eat. I want you to rest well, and a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
It's too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and as far as quality in comic books, it's been a really good week this week, and it's certainly headlined by Geoff Johns and Jason Fabok's Batman 3 Jokers. Been 4 or 5 years in the making, something I was totally excited for. As far as I'm concerned, it delivered on every level that I could have ever imagined. And, I go to talk to my good friend Larry from Larry's Comics. It turns out he's hot, and he's not hot because it's a good comic. He's pissed because he thinks the DC continuity is an absolute mess. He feels like he's been hoodwinked. Larry feels like he's been bamboozled by DC Comics and what's happened with Batman 3 Jokers and the way it ended up actually coming out. It feels like it's Elseworld. Obviously, here to talk with me about that is my good friend Larry from Larry's Comics. How you doing?
Hey, Wes, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, I guess, hoodwinked, bamboozled, the wool pulled over my eyes. I do kind of feel that way. I mean, I felt like I was sitting on the Mobius chair with Bruce when he asked the Mobius chair, who is the Joker? And the Mobius chair said, there are 3 Jokers. And I took that to mean 3 Jokers in whatever the current core DC continuity is at the time. And I mean, this book is masterfully illustrated. I mean, it's a glorified Elseworld story. It's a what if. It's you don't know where it takes place. You don't know who it takes place with. And it certainly isn't answering the question who the 3 Jokers are to me. I think it's victim of delays. This was supposed to happen. It was teased. It was supposed to happen during the Rebirth era. And then I don't know. It's just fallen off the fucking rails. You can't blame Jason Fabok. I mean, it's the most gorgeous, lavishly illustrated Batman book. It's a graphic masterpiece. It's a treat to look at. It's a great Elseworld story, but this really wasn't billed to me as an Elseworld story. This was going to tell me how the mechanics of 3 Jokers existing in whatever the DC Prime universe are. And this doesn't do it. And I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
I think it's a cop-out.
it doesn't do it yet. It's only the first issue. It is a mystery. We shouldn't be able to figure out all the secrets until the last issue. But I'm with you. I don't see how this can be in canon or continuity. Just looking at the costumes that the heroes are wearing, obviously it dates them back to when Jason Todd was wearing the original Red Hood mask.
They're all the costumes are different. The Red Hood costume is redesigned. Everything is different. Everything's off. When the Mobius chair told Batman there are 3 Jokers, Batman wouldn't have been like, what? He would have known there were 3 Jokers because he's already experienced this in this story. This story is obviously taking place in the past. So this is a complete offshoot, and that's fine. Like Sean Gordon Murphy, The White Knight. I don't feel let down when I read a White Knight story because that's billed to me as this is going to be Sean Gordon Murphy's vision. And then they deliver me the man's vision. This 3 Jokers was billed originally as there are 3 Jokers in the DC Prime universe. And this ain't it. This is a bamboozle. This is a hoodwink. This is a wool over my eyes. I feel jacked. And I'm in the minority. People love this book.
I love this book. So you said you don't blame Jason Fabok, the artist.
This is beautiful. Beautiful.
5-star as far as art.
How is he not the best thing DC has right now? This is gorgeous.
It's one of the. I said in my review, I said I think he does better than Gary Franks did on Doomsday Clock, and I thought Doomsday Clock was fantastic. Now, you said you don't blame Jason Fabok by omission. It feels like you are saying that you blame Geoff Johns, or at least partially blame Geoff Johns. How is that? I don't feel like he can get any blame in this. It's not like
I think Geoff Johns can be blamed with scheduling. Something has gone off the rails here. I don't think Geoff Johns, the entire cliffhanger, the entire what moment of Darkseid War was there are 3 Jokers, and then he intended to tell the story within DC prime continuity, because then it goes directly over to the Rebirth one-shot where he teases it again. We're going to be telling you this story here and now. Now, Geoff isn't working at the company at the time. He's doing his TV stuff, and through his social media, he's implying, not saying, that he's going to be coming back to, it's hinted that he's going to be writing the Legion. The Legion are going to be coming back, and that's another Easter egg that's in all the stories. And everything just ends and goes off the rails. And I think this story is another Doomsday Clock. There's rumors that that series has been retooled and rewritten half a dozen times, and I 100% of my heart of hearts believe that this is just taking Jason Fabok's pages and scripting it into a package that people will like as an Elseworld story. This is an Elseworld story.
But I don't think it's really Geoff Johns' fault. I think he fully intended, like, his vision of Rebirth obviously was going to culminate with Doomsday Clock, but also Three Jokers. That was one of the stories he was planning on telling in there. He was the chief creative officer when DC Rebirth launched. He moved up to Warner Brothers, where he became a producer, so he was dabbling in the comics. What his main job was for movies and television. And Dan Didio came back in charge. He was the chief creative officer. And for what I'm told, he did not like Geoff Johns, and he basically tried to undo everything that he wanted to do, and he intentionally kind of sabotaged Doomsday Clock, put in all those they kept delaying it because they kept having to rewrite it, because they kept changing everything they were doing with the characters, because Dan Didio changed the direction following Dark Knight's Metal, Heroes in Crisis. It kind of changed the entire DC universe. So I think Geoff Johns 100% intended Batman 3 Jokers to be in continuity, part of canon during DC Rebirth, but they changed it. Obviously he didn't have anything to do with it. I blame DC management.
Like I said from the get-go, this is an DC Prime Universe story that has transformed into an Elseworld story, result of delays. I don't know what those delays were. I mean, Dan Didio, how do you not like Geoff Johns? Geoff Johns is a DC sweet comic angel. I mean, that guy can write DC books. I think he's doing the best that he can. He's working with the ingredients he's got. Whatever mechanism he had in place for the Three Jokers to exist in DC Prime continuities, fucking off the rails, and now you're getting lavishly illustrated Elseworld story.
Well, it's not the first time DC's done lavishly illustrated Elseworld story, and I do think the reason Dan Didio
fine, it's not. It was never initially the fan. When you read the last page of Justice League 50, you never, ever, ever thought that cliffhanger was going to be resolved in an Elseworld story. It was never implied that. What was originally told to the fans was, this is going to resolve in the regular DC universe. This is a switcheroo, my friend. And I'm going to predict right now that issue number 3 of this series is going to end in a what cliffhanger. It's going to be a last page thing with one little Easter egg that's going to fucking jerk off fans for another 4 or 5 years until that can fall off the rails with scheduling and not deliver on it.
I do believe Dan Didio's issue basically with Geoff Johns was jealousy. Obviously, New 52 was his baby. While it was initially hot, it was summarily rejected. People didn't like that darker universe. Geoff Johns does Rebirth, gets all the love in the world, and Dan Didio gets a chance to come back in. He basically destroys everything. But like I said,
that
DC
sucks.
has a proud tradition of wonderful Elseworld stories. You think about The Dark Knight Returns. You think about The Killing Joke and some of the stuff that Alan Moore did. Now, if people accept it and they appreciate it and they love it, eventually it will become canon. Because I
love Elseworlds. Just don't tell me you're giving me a regular DC Universe book and give me an Elseworlds book. I mean, just spell it out. I mean, this is a bait and switch. It's a bait and switch result of just, the reality of DC publishing. They were off schedule. Maybe, like you said, there was some intercompany fucking shenanigans and sabotaging going on. And it always comes back with me too to fucking Bendis. I don't think Bendis is responsible for this whole thing, but he's in part responsible. Yeah, fuck him. I think he's responsible. I think Bendis is 100% responsible for at least one or two of the Doomsday Clock rewrites, because he just had to fucking write Legion. That the whole, one of the most interesting plot lines to me with Rebirth and the button in Doomsday Clock was, you know, the thread with Satin Girl, and that just ended so fast. It was like just a punch in the face. And then Bendis. Always blame
Bendis and Tom King probably ruined everything. And maybe a little bit of Snyder, because he's the one that did Dark Knight's Metal, and it was such a big hit.
Snyder's another sweet, sweet comic angel. Leave Mr. Snyder out of this.
Oh, I can't bring up somebody like, okay. So this seriously has hindered your enjoyment of the comic book, because I read it and I was blown away. I was like, the art in here is fantastic. I love the characterization. I love the way the characters are interacting. I like Bruce with Barbara and Jason Todd. They feel like they should be in this story when they were revisiting the trauma they received at the hands of the Joker. You know, I want to see them get their revenge. And, you know, it does culminate in that happening for one of those characters in the first issue. I thought the way that book number 1 ends was mind blowing. I loved it, but you did not enjoy it that way.
I mean, I felt like the rug was pulled out from under me. Maybe I'm looking at something that's a result of the source wall being broken and the fact that we live in a multiverse. And maybe this is going to be when the third issue comes out, maybe we're going to be catching up with DC canon, and this is going to be reflective in the main DC books. But yeah, I'm a little bit bummed out that I'm reading what appears to be an Elseworld story when my mindset has been for 4 years, I want to find out how can 3 fucking Jokers exist in the Prime DC universe? This thing here opens up, I mean, the door that, spoiler, I mean, it's implied that anybody who hasn't come in contact with Joker Toxin could be a Joker. So this could be a story of 1, 2, 3 Jokers in a world where there can be literally thousands of Jokers. I mean, it's fine.
Well, Larry, I do want to say this. DC Black Label, when it was announced, I believe it was 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that. It was specifically called
2 years. Exactly. You just nailed it right there, Wes. Thank you very much. That when Justice League 50 shipped 4 years ago, it was implied that this was happening in the proper DC universe. Then, through the course and passage of time, when Black Label got created 2 years ago, it could have been an Elseworld story. So yes, the story that I wanted that was announced 4 years ago has now transformed into an Elseworld story. Thus my disappointment.
But, you know, you had 2 years to think about it and realize that Batman 3 Jokers was going to be Elseworld. It was going on Black Label. But you still feel hoodwinked? I mean, as far as a $7 comic book, I can't imagine Geoff Johns and Jason Fabok delivering the goods better than Batman 3 Joker.
I don't feel hoodwinked with the sales. People came out of the woodwork for this book this week. I mean, give fans publishers give fans a reason to buy comic books, and there's still 100,000 fans who want to buy comic books, because we had existing fans, new fans, lapsed fans, old fans. Everybody's heard about this, and everybody wants to check it out. I do not feel hoodwinked with the sales. They delivered on the sales. I personally feel hoodwinked on the content. I'm in the minority. People were asking me Tuesday how I felt about the book. I was telling them non-spoilery how I felt about it. And I get texts every hour with customers saying, "Are you out of your mind? This is the greatest Batman story in the history of mankind." I mean,
I'm going to be DMing you for days asking you what the hell's wrong with you.
Okay, it's fine. I mean, you can't have a better drawn Batman story. It's just not the direction I thought it was going to be. It's not the direction I was promised. And there's been a gear shift, and the gear shift is what.
Well, there certainly has been a shift in DC Comics. It feels like there are going to be these pocket universes or standalone miniseries. We're going to have a deceased universe. We're going to have a White Knight universe. The main core line is going to be shrunk down. And maybe I'm in the minority on this one. I don't mind Geoff Johns writing Elseworld stories where he's not encumbered and has to
I
work within what
love that.
Bendis is doing and Tiding are doing and a bunch of inferior creators to what he is doing.
Elseworlds is in continuity, sir. They've through regular continuity, they've set up the mechanism for how, as a reader, you can fit these stories into the mechanics of this interconnected world. They've done the basic work of that. My problem with Three Jokers isn't that it's an Elseworlds book. It's that it was implied from the beginning that it was going to be telling me a mechanic of the prime DC universe, and that's not the fucking case. We don't know where this story's taking place. We don't know when this story's taking place. New things are canon. Alfred's alive. New origins. Just the entire sequence with Jason Todd and the Joker bashing his head in with a crowbar. What's said? That's not even what was said in The Killing Joke. They've revamped that entire story too. I mean, I don't mind an Elseworld story. I love a good Elseworld story. This was billed from the beginning as something different, and it's changed, and the change is what upsets me.
All right, Larry, we know you're a longtime reader. Are you going to be able to get over it? Are you going to be able to enjoy this story? Or is every time you open this sweet, sweet, beautiful comic book, angel of a comic book, Batman Three Jokers, is it just going to chap your ass? Just remind you that you've been hoodwinked, you've been bamboozled, in your mind?
Of course, I can't wait for issue number 2. I can't wait to see where it goes. I firmly believe that Geoff Johns had a story to tell, and he's going to at least give us what I'm predicting is a shocking what last page of number 3 is going to be just like the Mobius chair. It's going to be a fucking
Jason
punch
Todd
to the
is
face.
Now the Joker because he got infected with the toxin.
Yep, it's going to be something that we can't wait to get explained. I don't know. These guys are at the mercy of intercompany squabbles, delays. Delays and intercompany squabbles forced this story to change, and that the change is what really upsets me. I was looking forward to Three Jokers set in DC Prime and how the fuck that can possibly be, and how does it tie into what's happening to Legion, and how does it tie into the energy of the button. Don't forget all of these things. It was implied this was doled out over 4 years, little breadcrumbs for us to follow, and the trail is left to a fucking Elseworld story. Yeah, that upsets me.
Well, I'm excited. There are not enough great comics on the market for me, so I'm willing to accept an Elseworld story. Obviously, Larry, you have a difference in opinion. I definitely respect that. I'm glad you came onto the channel today to let it out. You do feel like you've been wronged, and you got sold a bill of goods. You didn't get quite exactly what you were expecting, but you did have 2 years.
It's exciting to see Jason Fabok, just get the spotlight on this. What's wrong with this man's craft? What's wrong with this man's artwork? I mean, this is just this book, here's some blasphemy. This book is more lavishly illustrated than The Killing Joke. He's doing Brian Bolland better than Brian Bolland. I mean, what a fucking gem. What a gem of a book.
To The Killing Joke, but I definitely think he upped the ante a little bit.
Up the ante. I mean, I hate to be negative at all when an artistic, maybe even editorial, graphic design. It's just the series of. I'm an anti-variant guy. The covers are so cool. If you're a Batman fan and a Joker fan, something inside of you kind of want them all. They're just cool. It's a beautiful package. I hope that fans can maybe see my side. There is a hoodwink, and I think me and Wes kind of explained reason for the hoodwink: delays, intercompany squabbles, and fucking Bendis. It's always Bendis.
It always comes back to Bendis and Tom King. They're at the heart of everything wrong with DC Comics.
Oh, we want to blame Tom King too. I like that. I'll jump on that.
I do agree with you on that fact. But Larry, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate
having me on, man. I appreciate it.
It was a fun conversation. Hopefully, we don't get slaughtered too bad in the comments.
Get out there and snag this, guys. You're gonna like it. It's a great product.